Hello, it's John Binnie again. I'm driving back from Naked Revive. It might only been a couple of hours since I posted a video for driving to Naked Revive, but it was just a quick morning session there. I thought, well, originally it was booked as a psychic Swedish massage, and what's lovely is to just swap and I changed it at the client's request to psychic reflexology, which was really lovely. What's really lovely about psychic reflexology is often you can go deeper than the Swedish massage. Let me show you this beautiful day. So one of you responded to my last video, the drive-in, where I was talking about shadows, and it was Susan. Susan's your first name. Thank you for your question. I love questions. I get a little bit obsessed about wanting to answer them all. And what I'd say is that I can definitely go into a bit of detail about what shadows are. So the first thing is the definition around shadows isn't super tight, right? So, and in fact, by its very nature, I feel it's helpful to have a loose definition, because they can, one aspect of shadows is fear, but it's not only fear. So this is a question we asked ourselves at when I last did a shadow work podcast with Chloe Rose and Viviane Heller. It's also a question I feel that's really helpful to ask yourself. You can Google it, right? But a bit like anything, if someone tries to define joy to you, you're like, oh, I think I'd like to feel it first before you tell me what the definition is. So one of the simplest ways of thinking about shadows or one of the simplest aspects of shadows are fears. So if you describe a fear that you hide, so imagine that you've got your heart, and inside your heart is, in the light are all the things that you're consciously thinking about, and that have your conscious attention. Sometimes people talk about our consciousness as like shining a light, that it shines a light on whatever aspects of ourselves, or inside of us, or outside of us. I'll say that again, inside of us or outside of us. And that when your consciousness does that, it can interpret what's going on there. It can experience and receive understandings and wisdom and knowledge about it, can perceive it. So a shadow is something that's hiding from your consciousness. So imagine this room inside your heart. So just imagine your whole heart is like visualized as a room. Perhaps it's a room in your home, perhaps it's your bedroom, and the shadows can be the things that hide in the corners, under tables, under beds, under dressing tables, under wardrobes, on top of wardrobes, in the back of the wardrobe where you're not sure what exists in there, the backs of drawers. Like physically these would be the places that a shadow could hide, but for really the shadow term refers to fears or addictions or behaviors within us that we hide from ourselves. So we're hiding it from our consciousness. Sometimes it's a coping mechanism. There's loads of reasons why we do this, but very commonly it's a coping mechanism, like to just allow us to function and keep going through the day, is to hide some of these things from us. Other reasons are we're not feeling brave enough to face it, or we're even in denial. We're just saying, look, it's not really a problem. I don't really need to like face this or deal with it. So these are like the different aspects of, you know, of shadows. We can also describe different behaviors, not just fears, as shadows. Let me think if I've got an example. I could describe, I have a shadow with regard to action movies, sometimes verging into horror, or horror movies, or violence in movies, that sometimes I really enjoy watching it, and I know that it's not great for me, right? Same with snacks. I love snacks, mainly savory, but sometimes short amounts of small amounts of chocolate or like a pudding or dessert in small quantities, but extremely sweet. I really love that, and so if I pretend to myself that they're not really addictions, that they're not really vices, and that they don't affect my life in any way, by ignoring them, then you can consider that you know, potential shadow. There's a caravan. And so shadow work is, lots of people define shadow work in lots of different ways, and I would say one common thing people need to do in shadow work is identify the shadow. And it's funny because by its very nature it's hiding in a shadow, right? You don't know that, just like on this sunny day, there's something hiding behind a shadow, whether it's worth your energy or not. And also things grow in the shadows, right? They don't just stay there, they don't just get fixed by themselves. They require our consciousness to spend effort in observing them, some degree of feeling them, and then some process of healing and integration. And we need to also mix in with all this is, each of us need to figure out the right balance. We're always going to have some shadows. There's always going to be some part of us that's a little bit broken, at least. And it's okay, right? Because this is a big part of being human. It's not to relinquish any responsibility or ownership from it, because it's still all your shadows to deal with. But the point is more that you don't need to obsess about having fixed yourself through all your shadows. I'd say one shadow I had was I would, through COVID in particular, between going through the COVID lockdowns and my hermit mode, and then also me developing a combination of that, me developing my psychic abilities, and I'm working more and more in the psychic field, and the challenge of coming out of the psychic closet and saying, I'm psychic, I'm Binnie, I'm psychic. What I found hard was that I found it really hard to be around people and to be my whole self. And that was a fascinating experience, right? Because I was like, oh, I'm going to have to figure out how to get better at this. And I remember really simple things like, I've spoken quite a few times about the first time I went to the reflexology class, and that was October 2023, I think. It can't have been 2024. No, it wasn't last year, it was the year before, 2023. Yeah, October 2023. Which is incredible because I'd just come out of my deepest, darkest shadow work only months before then. Just a handful, just 2 or 3 months before then. So it was a big thing for me, rebuilding myself. And I later I've also found it harder to, for example, turn up at a campsite and chat with the owner, to do the people interactions, when I was much younger, I used to largely just force myself to do it. And so the interactions often felt a bit forced, often felt like my energy behind it was a bit forced. Hi, how are you? How are you doing? I'm fine. Just like lacked kind of the personal connection stuff. Now, if all I need to do is muster up a little bit of courage, and I'm good with like chatting with, often when we turn up, for instance, at a campsite with a big camper van and caravan attached with 13.5 meters long, what's that, 21 plus feet or something, and that stimulates conversation with the owner or the manager or the person that works there when you turn up. So I often have a chat, and I just chat about, it's quite funny, I often talk about my shadows. So I'll say things like, oh yeah, I sometimes get nervous about driving this in the wind, like the Binnie train, or I'll say I can reverse a little bit, but I'm still too scared to like properly reverse around a corner. I think shadows are an amazing way of connecting with other people without it being some sort of self-deprecation festival. I don't ever want to go to that festival. So that's just some examples from me. But yeah, to answer the question in summary, shadows are the things we hide from ourselves, the thoughts, feelings, actions, behaviors that would arguably benefit from some feeling, healing, and integration. And often that's all our shadows want, is they want to be seen as a problem. And imagine you had a little to-do list in your mind. Like, we seem to very naturally just put these problems on our to-do list. And sure, we might procrastinate about it, we might put it off, we might feel apathetic about it, we might feel scared about it. But I guarantee you that at some point in your life, you're going to feel compelled to do something about it. And it might even be an acceptance of it. You might just say, it is true, it is a shadow for me to reverse with my camper van, my caravan is a trailer round a corner, like it is hard, and it's a shadow for me. And you may decide not to face that, right? But just the very nature of you acknowledging it, talking about it, having some compassion for yourself. It's like, I'm a great driver the rest of the time, even when I'm doing YouTube videos. In fact, I think I'm even better when I'm doing YouTube videos, because it keeps me awake. And it's okay to have some shadows and to be a little bit broken or find it hard to explain yourself, or for these things to be illogical within you. So yeah, I don't know what my other shadows will be that I share this week in my training, but now that you've heard a bit more about my perception of shadows, let me know about what you, maybe just choose one shadow you feel you have. And if I do more of the 5D Ascension classes, I don't think I've got one scheduled yet, but I'm toying with the idea about making them just public on YouTube, or public on YouTube for members of my YouTube channel, and we'll definitely, if I do that, again, the first two are a lot of fun, low attendance but a lot of fun. Then I'll definitely go through some practical examples of this. Otherwise, just sign up for the Higher Self Foundational Training and join the next run of it with me, and we'll go through it together. Or we can also do a one-to-one session, of course. Isn't it beautiful? It's so lovely seeing this weather. And wearing my sunglasses is a real shock. I'm not wearing a jacket. My camper van doesn't have a thermostat inside, so I can't tell what the temperature is outside. But it feels, I don't know, maybe 16, 17 degrees Celsius, which is lovely. So I'm on my way home to collect Mr. Patch and take him out for a walk. Mr. Patch, the meditation and dog teacher. hope you enjoyed his video today. And we'll go for a little walk in the sunshine, and then I'll get some lunch, and then I have 2 client sessions. But this is quite enjoyable, just doing a morning at Naked Revive. I enjoy that. Just popping out. And if you were my client and you're watching this, I hope you enjoyed your session. You were a very lovely client, and it's an honour to be able to help you. And what else? Oh, and we scheduled in our solar panels. So they're for our house. They're getting installed May 21st, which I'm really excited about. Solar panels and a battery. So we would be able to run off grid. I think it's about a day's consumption that the battery can take. And when I spoke to the solar company, they said, actually last summer the government stopped funding for them. And I'm like, last summer, should have got them last summer. But it's just the way it is, and they'll pay themselves off in around 8 years. So it's another incentive for us to not keep moving house all the time, stay in the house. And yeah, I love the idea of geeking around and optimizing our usage. And it's funny, it's not because I want to save money. It's more that I feel that there's ways of generating free electricity, and that if I can afford it, I'd invest in systems that allow that, and that I'm one less strain on in this country, the grid, the national grid for electricity. And we're also going to get a look at, we're going to get a survey for an air source heat pump, which, as I understand it, takes air from outside and then processes it cycles it through these chemicals that boil at very low temperature, and the boiling action generates more power. So I think you put in, there's something like 300 to 400% efficient. So if you put in 1 kilowatt of power, you get back another 2 or 3, 3 or 4, which would be amazing. It would also mean we could come fully off. We would be able to run fully off grid. And that's right, my guides were also saying it's a good idea. They're saying it's a great idea to have. They were saying really more about just contingency and stability, so that we may experience some power cuts, but they wouldn't be for very long days, and maybe a week or 2 at most. And to be honest, everything in our camper van is can run off solar, even without the house being able to. But it feels like it'd be lovely, and it'd be lovely to be able to, especially during the summer, to be able to feel that the client sessions that I run are all run using renewable, or in this case, you can argue the sun is free, except for the fact you have to pay for all the equipment. So looking forward to that. Anyway, I'll let you go. I'll go and have a chat with Patch and take him out for a walk. And looking forward to a lovely sunny walk around Dunbar. Take care, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask, because I love answering them. Okay, take care. Sending love. Bye.